And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Luke. Welcome to the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminati, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Well, I've been watching more of the GOP convention. A lot of wonderful people coming there. I still see this theme that has been really throughout. That is of the young people and black community. And really Democrats that are black that are voting for Trump. This is a reverse coup, you might say, because we can see that they tried to perform a coup on Trump several times, many different ways. And that being said, there's going to be repercussions coming for that. Sorry, I'm just trying to pause my video on my one screen just to stop less strain on my computer. Sorry. So this reverse coup that we're doing right now is basically the hashtag walk away movement that goes for everybody. In essence, I want to really say this is not really just about the Republican Party versus Democrat Party in the traditional way. No way. This has nothing to do with the parties. This has to do with survival of the nation, of America, of freedom on the planet. And this is a battle for not just our country, but it is for the soul of the planet. As been highlighted in the Democrat National Convention, they had a theme of saying that they're basically going to reclaim, because they've lost it, reclaim the soul. So this is a battle, a spiritual battle. Take whatever you feel about what is spiritual or not. It's the energy behind what we're doing as humanity, as everyone on this planet will live in a world that is about peace and love and abundance and goodwill towards everybody. Even my cat agrees. She's been very vocal at the moment. We have a chance at this point to make a difference. Again, Democrat or Republican, it does not matter, because it's not about the party. In fact, it's about us taking steps, and one of the steps we need to do is take over the Republican Party. There's no hope of taking over the Democratic Party. The Bernie Sanders supporters can see. All of their policies are what is their majority are excited about, right? Because this is their training. The progressive training has been all for this. But this isn't what they really want. This is just the dogma that they put out there for people to go along with, so that they can sway people away from traditional values, traditional ideas of freedom, of doing, being able to climb the ladder yourself. Not for the government to boost you up, because they won't. They will boost you to the bottom. Put your foot on your neck, knee on the neck, make you take a knee. So we really have to take over the Republican Party. And I say this coming from a place where I'm not a Republican. I used to be when I was very young. When I was 18, I registered as a Republican, and for about 8 years or so, until Ross Perot came around with the Reform Party, because I knew that we needed reforms, and the Republicans weren't doing what they said. If it's not, if someone is projecting something as this is what their plan is, what we're going to do, and you say, yeah, I'm all for that, and then they don't do it, don't follow them anymore. Really, this is what you have to make a sense. Just don't listen to the talking points. See what action is taking place, and then you take action. This is something that we need to really enforce in our children. We have to teach that to them. They have to make a stand. Men have to, teach their sons how to be men. Women have to teach their daughters how to be women. Not this gobbledygook of transgender or transtopia of genders. Whatever you feel like that day gender, which has nothing to do other than a psychosis. We have to be able to make a stand, and our first place, I think, is to do that in the Republican Party. It is the easiest path for us. You can't make a third party. Don't try it. The Tea Party had the right idea. They were not a political party. They called themselves the Tea Party, but that was after the Boston Tea Party, right? Protesting the taxes and other things of that nature. But they did not make the mistake, which was very good, and become a political party. Because if they would be falling into the trap just as so many others, the Libertarian Party, the Green Party. You can't compete between the two parties, so you've got to take over one. The Republican Party is the one that we need to take over. So let's go take a look at some of the let's see, which one do I want to go for? Not that one yet. Let's do this one. So this video is for basically, I have two videos back to back in this one. This is about the youth, because this gentleman in the wheelchair has overcome quite a lot. At the age of 25 is running for Congress. This is what we need. And it's not too young. As I mentioned yesterday, we have our Nick Sandmann. He was making a speech, and he was so well positioned to really take the 18-year-old vote, right, and represent that and put that in Congress. I think a little bit more. Typically, if you're in the mid-20s, I think you've got enough under your belt to really start making a difference. But Nick has a special place because of he was thrust into the limelight. He was the one that the mainstream media went after, and he fought back. He has a contribution to make, just as this gentleman has. So let's go ahead and play this.
Representing North Carolina's 11th Congressional District. This is a time of great adversity for our country, and I know something about adversity. At 18 years old, I was in a horrific car accident that's left me paralyzed from the waist down. Instantly, my hopes and dreams were seemingly destroyed. I was given a 1% chance of surviving, but thanks to the power of prayer, a very loving community, and many skilled doctors, I made it. It took me over a year to recover. My first public outing in a wheelchair was to a professional baseball game. Before my accident, I was 6'3". I stood out in the crowd. But as I wheeled through the stadium, I felt invisible. At 20, I thought about giving up. However, I knew I could still make a difference. My accident has given me new eyes to see and new ears to hear. God protected my mind and my ability to speak. So I say to people who feel forgotten, ignored, and invisible, I see you. I hear you. At 20, I made a choice. In 2020, our country has a choice. We can give up on the American idea, or we can work together to make our imperfect union more perfect. I choose to fight for the future, to seize the high ground and retake the shining city on a hill. While the radical left wants to dismantle, defund, and destroy, Republicans, under President Trump's leadership, want to rebuild, restore, and renew. I just turned 25. When I'm elected this November, I'll be the youngest member of Congress in over 200 years. And if you don't think young people can change the world, then you just don't know American history. George Washington was 21 when he received his first military commission. Abe Lincoln, 22 when he first ran for office. And my personal favorite, James Madison, was just 25 years old when he signed the Declaration of Independence. In times of peril, young people have stepped up and saved this country, abroad and at home. We held the line, scaled the cliffs, crossed oceans, liberated camps, and cracked codes. Yet today, political forces want to usher in the digital dark ages, a time of information without wisdom, and tribalism without truth. National leaders on the left have normalized emotion-based voting and radicalized identity politics that rejects Martin Luther King's dream. MLK's dream is our dream. For all.
I'm going to stop there for a moment. He's got it. He recognizes what's happening. He sees it from the digital dark ages. He sees from the emotional-based voting. He's got it. He's a young guy, and he's got it. So we need more young people to join and replace everyone in Congress. We really do, and we need to have them realize, what they're really doing. So some people, they don't get it, right? The young are that have been taught, say, the Marxist philosophies, they don't get it. They're out there burning and looting and doing all these things because they think, oh, it's just something fun to do, right? It's just a video game. You need to have the school of hard knocks. Nick Sandmann, Hard Knocks. He basically got hit by the mainstream media, the political apparatus. They came down on him like a ton of bricks, and he stood up, right? He grew from that. So this gentleman, Mark, was it? He's also grown from his experience. An emancipated adult. They've done things to basically push them into adulthood and took a stand and did something. So, but we don't want to promote people that are going to just answer an ad in a Craigslist, right? Because they're going to just go along with it because they're going to get some money and some fame, and it's going to be a lot of fun. No, there's a lot of hard work that needs to happen. But if you know someone, a young adult, have them look at gentlemen like this and like Nick Sandmann and others to have them consider getting into it. All right, let's continue.
Americans to be judged solely on their character. Millions of people risk their lives every year to come here because they believe in the dream of MLK and the American dream. Join us as we, the Party of Freedom, double down on ensuring the American dream for all people. We are committed to building a new town square. It welcomes all ideas and all people. Here we will have freedom of speech, not freedom from speech. To liberals, I say let's have a conversation. Be a true liberal. Listen to other ideas and let the best ones prevail. And to conservatives, I say let's define what we support and win the argument in areas like healthcare and on the environment. In this new town square, you don't have to apologize for your beliefs or cower to a mob. You can kneel before God, but stand for our flag. The American idea my ancestors fought for during the Revolutionary War is just as exciting and revolutionary today as it was 250 years ago. I say to Americans who love our country, young and old, be a radical for freedom. Be a radical for liberty. And be a radical for our republic, for which I stand, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and may God bless America.
Thank you. So you took a stand, and that's what we all have to do. We have to take a stand, and we have to do it now. You know, one of the things that I'm catching now is the Bards of War. He's made a very big point about wearing masks being treasonous, and he's not saying it flippantly. Seriously, that this actually is much more dangerous, not from the virus standpoint, not from the lack of oxygen standpoint, not from the breathing in your own waste standpoint, but spiritually. It's meant as a way of you to submit to their will, to go along out of fear for a virus that is not even harmful. Yes, slightly harmful to the elderly, but with the proper medication, no fear whatsoever. So we have to stand up without masks. We have to stand up to stop people from wearing masks and tell them what they're doing is harmful, right, to society. It's a bit much for people to take in, though, to really understand it at this level, because people have avoided the spiritual side for so long. Right? They don't even want to think that God even exists. They want you to basically just go along with it because it's easier and convenient. And hey, I needed my job. Right? So we've got to stand up. Notice that no one here is wearing a mask in all of the convention. They're not wearing masks. So we're going to continue on because we're going to go into another.
I'm Jack Brew, a former 3-time NFL team captain, college professor, coach, husband, son, and father. I'm also a lifelong Democrat.
There you go.
But I support Donald Trump.
There you go.
Let me be clear. I didn't come here for the popularity or the praise, the likes or the retweets. I'm here as a servant to God, a servant to the people of our nation, and a servant to our president. I grew up in Grapevine, Texas, a town that my great-grandfather was the first black man to settle as a sharecropper in 1896. My early high school experience included fighting with skinheads and being a witness in an attempted murder trial after my friend shot a skinhead in self-defense. I remember my dad's bravery when he personally stood up against a KKK rally in my town. In my house, my father taught me to back down from no one. I know what racism looks like. I've seen it firsthand. In America, it has no resemblance to President Trump. And I'm fed up with the way he's portrayed in the media, who refuse to acknowledge what he's actually done for the black community. It's confusing the minds of our innocent children. Before I left to come deliver this message, my energetic 8-year-old son Jackson stopped me and said, "Dad, can you please just tell everyone that all lives need to matter and that God loves everyone?" In that moment, I realized that my 8-year-old had figured out what so many adults have seemed to forget. We are not as divided as our politics suggests. At some point, for the sake of our children, the policies must take priority over the personalities. So because you have an issue with President Trump's tone, you're going to allow Biden and Harris to deny our underserved black and brown children school choice? Are we so offended by the president's campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," that we're going to ignore that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have collectively been responsible for locking up countless black men for nonviolent crimes? Are you going to allow the media to lie to you by falsely claiming that he said there were very fine white supremacists in Charlottesville? He didn't say that. It's a lie. And ignore the so-called Black Lives Matter organization that openly, on their website, calls for the destruction of the nuclear family. My fellow Americans, our families need each other. fathers in the homes with their wives and children. The future of our communities depend on it. I'm blessed to be able to run inner city youth programs and to also teach in prisons across America. The inmates in my federal prison program literally receive days off their sentence just for attending my class. And that's thanks to President Donald Trump and his First Step Act. President Trump cared about these Americans and their families, even when so many others had left them behind and had written them off. I'm forever grateful for President Trump for that. He endures relentless attacks, and so do many of us like myself who support him. But my mama always told me, when the Lord starts blessing, the devil starts messing. This convention marks a time to celebrate our history. Republicans are the party that freed the slaves and the party that put the first black men and women in Congress. It's the party of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. And now, Tim Scott and Donald Trump. Our president has made incredible strides to end mass incarceration and give unprecedented opportunities for black in America to rise. America, let this election be a call for all God's people who are called by his name to humble ourselves and pray together and to seek his face and to turn from our wicked ways. Then he will hear us from heaven and he will forgive our sins and he will heal our land. Amen. And God bless America.
God bless America. You know, this is what, the black community needs to see, right? There is no reason that they should be any part of the Democratic Party, really, from the beginning. And how the Democrats have been able to lure them away is through lies. Even if you listen to, Joe Biden's speech, he wants to fight for the white, not for the light. He says for the white. I mean, it's unbelievable how many gaffes the guy makes. But this, if you know anything about like reverse speech, or Freudian slips, that's like what's really on your mind, right? These things slip out. So, we can see that there is a major push being made, to wake up the black community, to let them know that you've been duped, seriously, right? The party that was founded on anti-slavery is the racist party? How do you believe that? What was your evidence? Everyone goes back to David Duke. Someone who was in the Ku Klux Klan that switched from the Democratic Party to become a Republican. And then he was chastised, right, and removed, right, by the Republicans, not by the Democrats. It's really amazing that it's gone this far, but now is the time. Black community, to the black people out there, just think about this. Take over the Republican Party. Enter the Republican Party. Get traditional values, strong values. Rebuild our communities. It's not going to be happening with the Democrat Party. We got to take over. All right. Let's go to the next one here. So this one is just, now this is a Chinese dissident that was basically put to one of the death camps in China as for protesting the one-child policy. So under the communist regime, the CCP demanded that there only be one child per couple. Their reasoning was, well, we can't be overpopulated, this overpopulation thing. Right now, China, because of this policy, has a severe lack of women, right? Because they also practice, infanticide of the children, if they were not boys, they would kill the women, right? Because you can only have one, right? And so if you can only have one, there was a tendency for them to basically eliminate the girls. So now it's more than 51% male. That's a lot of males that don't have female partners. I think in nature, it's something like 50.2% male to female, right? So it's very close. It's slightly more on the male side, probably because in nature, males die from being out and being providers. You know, they're out. The women staying home is a little bit more safe. So that's a nature, right? So that's a natural position. So they changed things. They made it. They changed it. So, but now they're trying to change it back. They're trying to manipulate in nature. They're trying to get more females, right? So they've relaxed their two-child policy. Now they're allowing for one-child policy. Now you can have two or more. So this is a Chinese dissident. He's going to actually talk a little bit. So the reason I think it's important is that because he's calling upon the world to support Donald Trump, other countries to support Donald Trump. And we can see that Trump is telling us that 193 countries have come on board with him to fight the invisible enemy, not the Chinese virus, the invisible enemy. Now, he's saying the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, is the invisible enemy, or is the enemy of the world. So let's listen.
Greetings. My name is Chen Guangcheng. Standing up to tyranny is not easy, I know. When I spoke out against China's one-child policy and other injustices, I was prosecuted, beaten, sent to prison, and put under house arrest by the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. In April 2012, I escaped and was given shelter in the American Embassy in Beijing. I'm forever grateful to the American people for welcoming me and my family to the United States, where we are now free. The CCP is an enemy of humanity. It is terrorizing its own people, and it is threatening the well-being of the world. In China, expressing beliefs or ideas not approved by the CCP, religion, democracy, human rights can lead to prison. The nation lives under mass surveillance and censorship. The US must use its values of freedom, democracy, and the rule of law to gather a coalition of other democracies to stop CCP's aggression. President Trump had led on this, and we need the other countries to join him in this fight, a fight for our future. Standing up to fight unfairness isn't easy, I know. So does President Trump, but he has shown the courage to lead that fight. We need to support, vote, and fight for President Trump for the sake of the world. Thank you.
So now I don't know much about his cause and why he was part. At first, I think I've heard of him, but you wonder why he's blind. It makes you think, was it because of his mistreatment by the CCP? I can imagine that's the case. I don't know for certain, but he's calling upon the world at this point to come together and fight the invisible enemy. Now, it's labeled as China. In the battle, as we move forward, we're going to have to look and see what they're talking about. When they talk about fighting the battle against the invisible enemy, it's going to have the face of the CCP. It's going to have the face, not really of, say, the Rothschild central banking system, right? Because that concept is very hard for people to represent. Now, we know that it is the foundation of the whole United Nations, the whole magic money system. We know that's what they're doing. But in the face of the world, everyone sees what the Chinese are doing. Hard to see what's happening at the banks. So we have to look at it that way. Now, he's calling upon us to basically fight this invisible enemy and all the countries to come together to fight China. Chinese Communist Party. Remember, it's not the Chinese people. Chinese people are just as affected by this, and they've suffered greatly by the hundreds of millions of people that have died because of communism, which roots are in Luciferian worship, satanic worship. It's religion. It's the government arm of its religion. So, all right, I've got one more here. I want to go over. This one. Oh, it's this one. Okay. Now, this one is a bit tough, a bit hard to listen to. The graphic imagery that she's going to portray is really horrible, but this has to do with the mass human sacrifice that's being done upon the world. It is what she's going to be talking about is the abortion issue. But this is part of their plan. The satanic worship, there's the Luciferian system that's out there, includes abortion as part of it. So it's very tough, but we're going to go through it.
My name is Abby Johnson, and I spent 8 years working for Planned Parenthood. But today, I am a pro-life activist. When I was in college, Planned Parenthood approached me at a volunteer fair. They talked about helping women in crisis and their commitment to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. I was convinced to volunteer and later offered a full-time job as a medical assistant before my promotion to director of the clinic. I truly believed I was helping women, but things drastically changed in 2009. In April, I was awarded Planned Parenthood's Employee of the Year Award and invited to their annual gala where they present the Margaret Sanger Award, named for their founder. Now, Margaret Sanger was a racist who believed in eugenics. Her goal when founding Planned Parenthood was to eradicate the minority population. Today, almost 80%.
So her goal was to eradicate the minority populations. Eugenics. Just to point out, Bill Gates' father was a supporter of Planned Parenthood and Margaret Sanger. Just saying.
Of Planned Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are strategically located in minority neighborhoods. And every year, Planned Parenthood celebrates its racist roots by presenting the Margaret Sanger Award. Later in August, my supervisor assigned me a new quota to meet, an abortion quota. I was expected to sell double the abortions performed the previous year. When I pushed back, underscoring Planned Parenthood's public-facing goal of decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told, "Abortion is how we make our money." But the tipping point came a month later when a physician asked me to assist with an ultrasound-guided abortion. Nothing prepared me for what I saw on the screen. An unborn baby fighting back, desperate to move away from the suction. And I'll never forget what the doctor said next. "Beam me up, Scotty." The last thing I saw was a spine twirling around in the mother's womb before succumbing to the force of the suction. On October 6th, I left the clinic, looking back only to remember why I now advocate so passionately for life. I founded and currently run And Then There Were None, a nonprofit organization that's helped nearly 600 abortion workers transition out of the industry. For most people who consider themselves pro-life, abortion is abstract. They can't even conceive of the barbarity. They don't know about the products of conception room in abortion clinics, where infant corpses are pieced back together to ensure nothing remains in the mother's wombs, or that we joked and called it the pieces of children room. See, for me, abortion is real. I know what it sounds like. I know what abortion smells like. Did you know abortion even had a smell? I've been the perpetrator to these babies, to these women, and I now support President Trump because he has done more for the unborn than any other president. During his first month in office, he banned federal funds for global health groups that promote abortion. That same year, he overturned an Obama-Biden rule that allowed government subsidy of abortion. He appointed a record number of pro-life judges, including 2 Supreme Court justices, and importantly, he announced a new rule protecting the rights of healthcare workers objecting to abortion, many of whom I work with every day. Life is a core tenet of who we are as Americans, and this election is a choice between 2 radical anti-life activists and the most pro-life president we have ever had. That's something that should compel you to action. Go door to door, make calls, talk to your neighbors and friends, and vote on November 3rd. Take action that re-elects our president, and do it with our very most vulnerable Americans in mind, the ones who haven't been born yet.
Yeah. Very emotional. This is one thing that the Republicans got right this time is they got the emotion attached to the issue. For all these speakers, they're really speaking from an emotional place. Now, this is one of the most sensitive issues because of the death of these children. To the point where we could see when Trump's first, dealing with this, and we see the Congress acting out, or the Democrats are basically in union, and all in unison, and sitting all together and not standing, and really representing that they are for post-birth, after-birth abortions. I mean, the baby's born and then you kill it. This is right out of satanic rituals. It's hard to really believe that the world is the way it is, and that this satanic group has perpetrated or penetrated into the levels across the whole world to the extent it has. It's worked from the shadows. It really has seeped in every nook and cranny to corrupt everything. And they just use this apparatus of Democrat versus Republican to keep people divided and arguing and no solutions. We have to stop it. The best way is #walk away from the Democratic Party, take over the Republican Party, because they are not saints in this. They are just as much responsible. You know, you want to say that, you know, there are some good people in both parties. Sure, let's say that, but it's nothing to do with what the power structure is and who and how they've held power. As I described in my video and article, Worldwide Civil War, Us versus Them, you know, how easy is it for you to just get absorbed? Anybody can get absorbed, especially if you don't have a strong moral foundation. You know, that you just kind of take these small steps, the path to the dark side. You start taking those small steps, and soon you are on the path. And then you're so far down it, you just can't reverse, because it will be hard, and you're just going to take the easy way, the money way, the powerful way. So it has penetrated everywhere in the world, not just America. This is worldwide. So we need all of the countries to get together. Just think that, when Trump first started talking about the invisible enemy, he gave us a tally. He said there was like 143 countries have gathered together to fight the invisible enemy. And that number started going up, 150, 153, 180, 188, 190, 192, 193. So there's only 193 countries in the United Nations. I think there's also an extra 2 that are the city-states of, say, the Vatican. What the other one is, but the Holy See. So these city-states, are not going to include them in the mix, but 193 countries deciding they're tired of being in this system that's really just a parasite. We want to get rid of the parasite. So we have to make a move. So I've got one more thing that I wanted to go over. It's a kind of a big issue. Basically it's a video with Alex Jones, and I see Alex Jones as controlled opposition. So we have to look at it from that standpoint. But it's true what he's saying, right? But there's an agenda here. But we're going to go through that. But before that, I would like to do some housekeeping things that we kind of just jumped into everything. So let me go ahead, and I want to put up some things. So first, is there anyone that's giving any messages in the chat? Yes, hello, I am live streaming. Hello, Louie. Good to see you guys back. Yeah, I guess after, we did about 470 straight in a row, took off a couple weeks. Now, I had technical difficulties. I had to construct a way to do live broadcasts, which still has stuttering problems at times, but excellent conditions right now, it seems. But that seems to have been okay. So nothing there, but let me go ahead and share my screen so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay. So we got 25 current viewers. Hello, everybody. And Alex Jones is controlled opposition, and that's what I had just said. So yes, it is controlled opposition. But we can watch controlled opposition and pick out the information, because it is going to tell us something. I also like to point out I'm still doing my parlor and posting some things over here. So I posted this FrontLines episode. So please join me there. Join Life Force. It is good to be part of Life Force and join your assembly. I'm going to make a comment about the assembly. They should post the schedules. So you know when the meetings are, because if you weren't in a meeting, you don't know when the next meeting is unless there's some way that you can reach us, which is here. So I was waiting for to know when it was going to be, and here's the chat, right? And I actually made some comments in here about that. Next thing I'm going to show you. This is qmap.pub. There's nothing here yet. Build something amazing. Heroku, whatever that is. So QMAP has disappeared. So this is where I typically get all my Q posts. Now I'll have to go to 8chan and do stuff, but it takes a little bit of time, so we're not going to go there today. This is OAN story. This is about a new medicine that is cures within 48 hours, typically, the China virus.
A new tool in their arsenal for the fight against coronavirus. One America's Pearson Sharp has more on the medicine that researchers in Australia say could cure the virus in just 48 hours.
The fight against coronavirus could have a powerful new weapon. It's called ivermectin. News out of Australia has revealed doctors are now successfully using the drug to treat patients infected with the coronavirus, with one doctor saying it makes corona very simple to kill. So far, the medicine hasn't been widely used against the coronavirus specifically, but is typically used for parasitic infections. However, a peer-reviewed study led by Monash University back in April found that even a single dose of the drug could kill the coronavirus in less than 48 hours. Ivermectin is well established and has been available since the 1970s. It's FDA approved and is on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines. That means it has very few side effects and is considered one of the safest drugs in the world. In fact, in 2011, a scientific journal in Japan, where the medicine is originally from, called ivermectin a wonder drug, on the same level as penicillin and aspirin. And it's not only potent, it's also very inexpensive. The wholesale cost for a course of treatment is just 12 cents, meaning it's a safe and widely available treatment for the coronavirus. Australian doctor and Professor Thomas Borody is spearheading efforts to raise awareness for the drug's effectiveness.
It's an anti-parasitic. It sits across South America, quite a bit in the USA, also India and Bangladesh. And in those places where trials between 80 and 160 patients were done, the amazing and surprising thing is there's not one paper where it was successful less than 100%. That is the actual factual result. It is curative within 6 to 8 days.
He says when used in combination with two other drugs, an antiviral called doxycycline and zinc, that ivermectin is amazingly effective in treating the coronavirus. The medicine works by allowing healthy cells to quickly remove the virus, preventing it from taking hold. Dr. Borody adds that countless doctors and frontline workers around the world, including himself, are already taking this treatment as a preventative against the coronavirus.
If we use a preventative combination of ivermectin every, say, 2 weeks, it would work like a vaccine, but it would not only cure, vaccine doesn't cure, and prevent recurrence as long as you took it for 1 year, 2 years.
Even doctors in the U.S. are having success with the drug. Doctors in Broward County, Florida, say they're already curing coronavirus patients with ivermectin and seeing a near 100% success rate.
If we get to those people early, and what I mean by that, if their oxygen requirements are less than 50%, I've had nearly a 100% response rate. They all improve.
Patients using the medicine are claiming it saved their lives.
And I'm blessed with that medicine because I didn't know what was going to happen. It saved my life. Trust me, it saved my life.
It's not clear how other medical experts in the U.S. will respond to this latest discovery. But with options like hydroxychloroquine and now ivermectin on the table, many say Democrats' refusal to make these medicines available is no different than murdering the patients who need them but can't get them. Pearson Sharp, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this?
Yes, I do. So there we go, right there. We have another medicine that's very similar, right? It's an antiparasitic to the malaria medicine that we all know. Now, he mentioned it on the video. So the hydroquin medicine with what else? Zinc and an antibacteria. Antibiotic. So that combination seems to be working to solve the problem, right? And solves it quickly. So I do think that we're seeing this as a setup happening where because the mainstream media is downplaying this, and because the health organizations are downplaying the benefits of this, and they had all these fake studies that came out, and they kept promoting the fake studies, and then they didn't. When the fake studies were retracted, like the Lancet report, when they was retracted, all the news media didn't go back and undo the damage that they've done by basically claiming that it didn't work. Tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people could have been cured, but the mainstream media didn't do anything but downplay it and say it doesn't work. It said, and put fear into it, said it would kill you. So they're responsible. There will be class action lawsuits going after them. So we talked about that yesterday. All right, let's go back. So what I'm going to show you here, this is a speech at the Democratic National Committee. Now, I also want to point out that it's been pointed out on cue. I wanted to show it to you, but since I couldn't pull it up quickly, the logo that you see there on the floor for the Democrat National Committee, or for their convention, it's got a D with a star in it and a kind of a V. If you turn that on a sign, it's a Baphomet, or satanic logo. People have also pointed out that it's like an arrow pointed at the year 2020 and America in the crosshairs, so to speak. It's that they're attacking America. But this is I have this video here because I want to show that this is really the theme that the Democrats are going after, right? And and how much it shows that it's a spiritual battle. They want to reclaim the soul, right? And it's said by many in the Democrat convention, a lot of the speeches, including Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and Biden, they all talk about it. They talk about recapturing, reclaiming the soul. Because they've lost it, right? They're out of power, right? And they're fighting to get it back. So we're going to go ahead and, it's only a couple minutes, but you'll see what she says. Now, this is just one of the other representatives, but we're going to go for it.
And it's my honor to represent Milwaukee in Congress and to kick off the 2020 Democratic Convention. Oh, I sure wish you all were here in the city of Milwaukee, which takes its name from the languages of the first peoples, interpreted as good land and gathering place by the waters. This is a city where blood was shed for labor rights, where a fugitive slave was freed from prison, where women's right to vote was first ratified. But today, we gather virtually. However, we gather unified in spirit, unified in our values and purpose to heal divisions and together move the nation confidently into a prosperous, inclusive future. Oh, what better way to gather than all across America to nominate my beloved friend, Joe Biden, to be 46th President of the United States of America, with my VIP, VP nominee, Sister Kamala Harris by his side. Tonight, we are gathered to reclaim the soul of America. So if you're ready to come
to reclaim the soul of America. So I just wanted to point it out that is their theme. So we'll move on. Now this is Barack Obama. I'm not even going to play him, okay? But he says the same thing. You know, I didn't pull up Michelle at all. So this is the one I wanted to go over with you. So let's go ahead and get this going.
We report a lot of bombshell news here, so I tend to get desensitized. But when I saw this, and then when I saw the video, it sent a chill up my spine. This confirms everything we've been saying for over a year, and now it's out in the open. Hillary Clinton told Politico today that under no circumstance, quote, Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstance.
You know, Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstance.
Okay. Stop. I'll just reload it. It's on band.video. Band.video, sorry.
We report a lot of bombshell news here.
I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch and if we are as focused and relentless as the other side is.
So they start saying a year ago, Trump will contest the election. And if he does, he's a fascist and the military must remove him. Then they send out 80 million ballots randomly to create total confusion, knowing there's no way they'll ever be processed correctly, which will throw the election into doubt regardless. And then when Trump comes out and challenges that, they make up this whole thing about him removing mailboxes and stuff and say that he's trying to sabotage the post office. So it's blamed on him when the post office and the local counties and the districts cannot track any of this or control it. This is a recipe for failure. They've already tried to have their coup on Russiagate and Ukrainegate. This is the big coup. And a month ago, Pelosi said, oh, we're going to fumigate him. He's going to be out of the White House regardless.
The fact is, whether he knows it yet or not, he will be leaving. Just because he might not want to move out of the White House doesn't mean we won't have an inauguration ceremony to inaugurate a duly elected president of the United States. But there is a process. It has nothing to do with if the certain occupant of the White House doesn't feel like moving and has to be fumigated out of there, because the presidency is the presidency. It's not geography or location.
And then the Democrats officially came out and admitted, with John Podesta and a Democrat strategy meeting that the New York Times reported on 3 weeks ago, that they are going to contest the election. They believe they're going to lose, and they're going to have states secede, blue states, and throw the country into civil war, and then hold the nation hostage and tell the military, you must remove Trump. So you've seen the clips here for yourself. It's all unfolding. Under the Clinton Foundation with Bill Gates, they're setting up an army of millions of contact tracers that are what Obama talked about 10, 11 years ago, about a domestic army just as big and just as strong as our military.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded.
This is their whole plan. And the UN is out in the news saying we can't have vaccine nationalism. Every country must take the vaccines we say, and the UN must be in charge. This is the global system to take now, not just of us, but of Brazil, of Europe, of the UK. It's an amazing time to be alive. That's why we've got live coverage weeknights now. 7 to 9 of the election countdown taking America.
Okay. So there we go. Again, controlled opposition, but in this case, everything he says, I believe, is the case. But part of what their side does is they tell you what they're going to do. It's painting the landscape so that when it happens, you already know what they're doing. Let's say nobody said anything about this at all, about what Nancy Pelosi may do or that Nancy Pelosi could be president. What if no one mentioned it, right? And then on January 1st rolls around and no one could call the election and Nancy Pelosi says, well, I'm the president now. We're going to go say, what? No. Get out of here, you, right? But then now, since they painted the picture and they said, oh, so now it's like out there in the zeitgeist, in the minds of people. And so now it's easier for them to basically push it through because people have already heard it, and easier for them now to accept it. So that's what we see is going on there. So just keep in mind, it was well put together to show you how much planning they've been doing on this. So it's something I think is very well stated at this point. So that they've outlined it about the mail, 80 million ballots going out. How is it even possible, right? That this would be valid, no signatures required. So anyway, I'm sure Trump has a trump card to play on this. It's coming, probably going to happen fairly soon. Is going to really just squash this whole conversation. Now, myself, I actually looked into absentee ballots, living abroad outside of the United States, but still being able to vote. So I'm looking at how I can actually get that. And then, good thing I found out that seems like I can do it by email. Right. So that's something I'm looking at doing. So, let me see if we have any other questions coming in here. Anyone making any statements? Let's see. That is a warmer. Don't know what that means. I'm doing a parasite cleanse. Oh, it's a parasite. So so it is a something, a dewormer. Right? I think it means so to remove parasites. So strange that it's the parasitic medicine is what it's what it's actually good for, right? So we've been talking about the whole system being parasitic, right? Yeah, I agree about the sign looking like it's the Democrat sign was about death to America. It does appear like that's what they're trying to do. We're in a war. We are in a war. If your eyes are open enough to see, if you've awakened, you can see what's been going on. And these are the things we have to do to fight, to get to where we need to go to make this happen. All right, we need to get rid of them worldwide. I'm gonna talk with you a little bit right now about one other thing. I haven't been saying anything about the banking system too much in regard to the things that I'm hearing, but there does seem to be some movements taking place, and it has to do with apparently. Now, this is the talk among the bankers. You could say banksters, right? But talk among the bankers. I'm not talking about the elite of the bankers, but the people that are tied in. So one of my friends is tied in, and so we've been talking about a few things over the last couple of months, and things that I haven't talked about and put out there because I really don't know what is really the truth about it, right? And whose side is on who. Is this part of Kim's system, or is this a Rothschild plot? Is this the Black Sun versus the Black Dragons fighting it out? Which side is who? Who's on what? Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know. The world situation. This is a really interesting time, because what they say, they're throwing off the Rothschild banking system. It's already pretty much done. There's a system out there called the real-time gross settlement system. This is a central bank clearinghouse system, and that this system has since June been the only way to move money between banks is through this system. Now, that's apparently what they put into place. Now, there's only 35 countries that have access to this, or 35 central banks. So it was like a central bank, funnel. So if Bank of America wanted to put money in the hands of Chase, before they would just talk to each other and balance their ledgers. Now it has to go through the system. Now apparently that they're talking about a QFS system, their own, not Kim's system, right? Not the key integrated monetary system or the quantum mapping system, but what they call a quantum system. That this is an instant settlement system. That it's the money gets transferred instantly and so on. Now maybe this is their push to bring in the Fed coin. Maybe this is their push to do cryptocurrencies and eliminate cash. I don't know how successful this is, but I think what they're telling everyone is September 1st, there will be only this system functioning to move funds, and everyone. Your SWIFT code is going to be your SWIFT code to get to your account, and money will just go direct between them, right? So when anyone's sending it, there won't be all this AML stuff anymore, because the sending bank is responsible for making sure that it's all compliant before it even gets to them, right? So this is something that's that again, I didn't want to start talking about these things because so much shit was going on, right? But this is not Kim's system. But I do think that they're trying to do something right now, and this plays into things that are happening in the world. But we'll see. They're also part of this is they're talking about a more intense lockdown to go into effect. So again, I don't know how real that is. I've talked with Richard about actually us doing a broadcast just talking about the banking, and so maybe we'll do that. One of the other things that might be good to do is do a call-in time on, like, pick a day of the week, like every Friday, do a call-in show, so you can use the voice numbers, regular phone line numbers, and call in, enter a waiting room. It'll be in through Zoom, and then when we get to that part of the broadcast, I'll start, bringing in people from the room to ask questions one at a time, and we'll just go through and do that. So we can maybe do that as well. So you can let me know what you think about that. I'm still looking for donations every day. It looks like I have to keep looking for them. No donations from yesterday, but I am in need. Still trying to make it towards my initial goals. A little late now on on the rent. Next month, I think I'll be in the clear on some other things. I don't really want to get into the details of that, but I think next 2 to 3 weeks, we gotta ask for assistance, and it is much appreciated, especially everyone who's been so generous. Even the small amounts, they do make a difference. They really do. That food for a day, if someone sends $10, even if PayPal eats $2 of it, that still gets food for a day. One other thing that I was talking with my wife about this, because I was noticed, because I said she just went shopping, and she came back, and I just was kind of like thinking, well, it's not really as much food. And she said, well, the prices are much higher now, which really makes me a little upset about that, because there's really no reason for it to be higher priced at this point, right? So especially here in the Philippines, I mean, getting to a point where people aren't able to travel and move around is not really as much of a big thing for most of the people here, right? Most of the people can't afford to travel. And locally, they get it. So you're still, people are able to get around and get to the local markets. Nothing much has changed, except I can't go, right? But for the food, to go up about 50% more than what it was, I think, this is really shows how evil what they're doing, because they really don't care for the people. It's all so much a lie, so much to, and it harms so many people, lost their jobs, lost their businesses, lost their, loved ones. The depression that comes from this and all this. I talked with my friend who's running the 911 system here. He sends out most of the emergencies now that he's getting are for people they have no money to buy food. And he sends out people on motorcycles to bring food to these locations. It's just simple things like bringing some rice, bring a kilo of rice someplace, and that helps them. This is truly evil what they've done. We have to recognize for what it is. We can't comply with them anymore. We have to not go along with the masks. It's a little challenging in countries like here, because literally it will be arrested, and there are no rights like you would have in America. You wouldn't be able to get out on bail, or you wouldn't be able to fight it in court. Right? It's pretty bad. So now my wife has to wear a face shield, a mask, and a face shield. Remember how Fauci was talking about goggles, right? I want you to wear goggles. It's all about covering who you are, right? It's basically to put, a happy face in the front, but keep you away from everyone. No emotions. Who can see emotions through the face mask? This is done on purpose. They're trying to basically isolate us because they fear us. So this is something that we really have to rise up and do. We have to basically deal with it. We have to, in unison, stop shopping in places that require masks. Give them notice. You walk up and you say, oh, I was going to shop here. Here. Give them a fine. Write up a little fine note and say, oh, I'm fining you the lack of revenue from my purchases. Do things like that to give them notice. If it start happening and they notice people are not coming in, guess what? They'll take down those stupid signs. They're only doing it because people are in compliance. We do it because we're polite. Really, the government asked us to save people. Who would go against it? But now we know it's bogus. It's a lie. So we shouldn't be doing it anymore. Time to take a stand. Again, my donation link is down below. My email for PayPal is there. If you want to send by Western Union or MoneyGram, please contact me. Telegram is the best way, but my email is also down below. And I look forward to continuing the fight here on the front line.